privilege that I got this opportunity to introduce an eminent personality like Krishna Garu. So a brief lines about his professional profile I would like to render here. Krishna Saagar Rao Garu is an internationally reputed organizational strategist, author and leadership coach. In a career spanning 25 years, Krishna Garu has coached thousands of middle and senior level organizational executives. He also advises boards of many medium and large scale businesses as an organizational strategist. Strategic growth management, business transformation strategy, turnaround management are some key areas of his board level interventions. He is a highly qualified professional with 2 master's degrees in management, 2 postgraduate diplomas in advertising, organizational psychology, and an ensuing PhD in the area of emotional intelligence. He has authored a bestseller by the title Summit Your Everest, a book on obstacle and failure management. There are 2 books which are still in the process of getting published in the year 2020 and 21 with the titles Organizational Leadership and the other one with the title Receptive Intelligence. So it's a privilege to have you here this evening. We welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, good evening to everyone who is both in United States and in India, 2 locations, Hyderabad and Khammam. Lax Chipuri, the founder, chairman, CEO of Technogen, Srini and Sanjukta Priyaranjan in Khammam, and that's for the Technogen. Automate, Shrikant, and Focal CXM, all employees who are actually on the call right now. And eCrayon, Ravi, Sumanti, Rashmi, and Juris Prime, Rajgaru, VVSN, and E3 Media, my good friend Ashok, wherever he is, and the rest of the boys, girls, men, women, whoever are involved in this call. It's a pleasure, and I wish all of you actually understand that this is a relaxed, laid-back, interactive session. I really wished it could have been a physical one so that we could have had a much engrossing dialogue. But now that it is technologically connected, so we cannot have much of a dialogue. It will be a monologue for a while. But still, we'll have a 30-minute interaction right after my session. We can have questions and answers. Somebody can facilitate. And the guys who are standing here, if you can find some chairs, I think that will be nice. You can be comfortable. It's going to be a little longer session. So the next 60 minutes to 80 minutes, what I'm going to do is to outline the subject which has been given to me to handle by Lax. And when Lax asked me, how about peak performance? Then I said, I think it suits the best of the audience you have, because you have so much of a heterogeneous groups here, and people who have a lot of experience and who have a lot of competence and who have just probably entered their careers. So there are a variety, a mix of groups which are there here, and individuals who are here, professionals who are quite experienced. But still, I believe the phrase, when you stop learning, you stop living. So to keep our minds open, to ensure that there is constant upgradation, to ensure that we see the mirror and reflect on what's happening with us, both personally and professionally, I think is a critical criteria for excellence. So today, when I'm going to speak on peak performance for organizational and personal growth and personal productivity, there are 3 P's here, like performance, productivity, and peak performance, right? Peak performance is the key, but productivity and personal challenges which are involved in productivity are the key, or the keys. So we will dive straight into the subject, okay, without any ado. What does it ring to your ears when I say peak performance? I want all of you to think about it. I know you cannot raise your hands and answer it now, but what is peak performance? Now, a lot of people get a lot of ideas about peak performance. It is almost like success. Okay, the subjectivity of the definition is so deep that you cannot actually define objectively what is success in real, because success means different things to different people. Now, today's objective is not to, on a snap in 1.5 hours, make you all peak performers. Okay, that's not going to happen. So your expectation on this session has to be very clear that this is a reflective session. It is a session to, as you walk your long miles in your life, whether you have walked longer or shorter or medium by now, it is a time to stop and look at the milestone. This is a session which brings you to a milestone and gets you to stop and reflect, what the hell have I been doing through the last few months or years or decades in my life, and where am I heading and why am I heading there? And the objective is also about what is my competence and what is the core of it. Am I there? Am I getting there? And what am I doing with that core competence? Am I contributing, or am I sleeping on it? Am I subverting it somewhere else? Do I have focus? Do I lack it? Do I have urge to perform, or do I lack it? Or am I an average performer, a no performer, non-performer, let me be blunt here, a non-performer, or a peak performer? So where do I fit in these three slots? So this is the session all about. The session is about your own intrigue about who you are and how organizationally we'll not go into any other direction than this. We will stay on the course. And recognize few friends who are old, young, and try if you can name them. I bet some of you don't even know these guys' names, and some of you might struggle to get the names, and some of you might actually, on the top of the mind, remember these guys. That's Steve Jobs, the man who founded Apple. Apple's still going strong, but the man is no more. And you know this man, he's all over the place, even during Corona. So, and then he has a lot of predictions for us. But this is the man who's built a parallel economy for the world. Just imagine a man who has created a new economy. Okay, that's Bill Gates. I don't need to probably spell the name out for you. And you know our own guy, Satya. I told you, Sundar Pichai, I told you, you'll struggle with some names. Okay, our own boy from son of the soil actually, and now he's heading Alphabet and making things happen globally. And you know this guy is having a lot of trouble in India now, Mark Zuckerberg. And somebody you can identify her? Indra Nui. Yeah, you're naming the organization. Yes, she was the former CEO of Pepsi. And you know, yeah, not so old man, Premji, a very simple individual but very accomplished, Wipro. And you know the guy? All the bulk? Yeah, Elon Musk. Okay, I think something which is once in a century type of a man. Okay, SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City, and etc. Too many passions, too much of focus, too much. And this is not a photo gallery I wanted to share with few friends for a webinar, but this is the picture. These are the pictures of few individuals who have a connection. So I wish to ask all of you as to what is the common thread between all these guys. If you want me to go back, I can go back, but I think you have good memory. Passion, peak performers. Okay, Samyukta is already there. Peak performance, she hit the bull. Success, okay. What else? She has already got the answer. So, what's common between all these folks? There's a woman there, and there's few men who are young, who are old. The common thread which binds all these individuals is that these are all undoubtedly peak performers. If they are not performing at their peak, not today, maybe 30 years, 40 years since, they won't be where they are today. I hope you all agree with me. There is no other way somebody can get to that position individually or drive organizations of that valuation, and with that kind of contribution, somebody is changing the human landscape, and somebody is actually bringing conventional energy into force, and somebody is transforming the way people can live interplanetary travel and multiplanetary living. I mean, these are people who are shaking the earth. Now, if these are not peak performers, who are? So what is binding all these individuals is one common factor, that these people have given their very best. And their very best seem to be earth-shattering. The question is, what is your very best? You don't need to be doing what they're doing. You don't need to be another Elon Musk. There's already one. There's no space there. But what are you? Who are you? And what is your 100%? What is your core competence? So these are the questions we need to ask. And mind you, I haven't got all these pictures downloaded from some other planet. These guys are living on our planet. These are human beings, our own species. They are not different species. So it is not that they are born, okay, Elon Musk is born sometime in 1970s, late 69 or 68, let's say. And then once he is born in South Africa, not even in America, and then once he is born, his mother said, wow, this is a peak performer. I can see it. Didn't happen. Satya Nadella, somebody in Andhra, didn't think that he's born and, oh, he's a peak performer, I can weigh and see. The guy weighs a little bit more. Or Sundar Pichai, somewhere in Tamil Nadu, and the doctor didn't say, man, this guy has the features of a peak performer. So all of us are born the same, but why some exploit their competence to that scale, and why some remain the same throughout their life mostly? When looking at that leap, whatever journey we are having is like too small. I don't want to intimidate anybody here. But I want to ask you, I want to challenge you as to what are we doing with our lives? Both personal and professional. Don't think that I'm trying to drive you, slave drive you to work for an organization, give everything you got. I'm only asking, what are you doing to yourself personally? What are you doing to your competence personally? And what did they do with their competence personally? Forget about their organizations. Now, these are the questions we need to ask. So, they are not just peak performers, the common line which I said runs through them. They're also highly productive. So when a lot of people, now we'll define that a little later, they're also great individuals. They're productive. When we say they're productive, what is the measure? What is the measure? When we say somebody, yeah, Srikanth got it. He's a smart businessman, he understands. So there is nothing which is more indicative of your performance or your productivity than, can you be louder please? Results. Now you can say how much ever you say about how much efforts you put in. We always see people saying, I'm giving my 100%, but this is all I can do. I mean, that's where the barricade is. That's where the barrier is. The barrier is you're measuring your productivity by effort. When you measure your productivity by result, then you are a peak performer. And that's what performance is all about. Performance is not about your efforts. I can say from the morning I do so many tasks. I mean, all of you do also. Right from going to the toilet in the morning till going back to the toilet in the night. And then hit the bed. Sorry for being so rude. And then everything in between. But that is not your performance, for God's sake. That's routine. That's tasking. Tasking will not get you anywhere. Tasking will get you to one position to another position every 2 years, 3 years, give you a 10% flip or a bump in your salary, 15%. Not in that same company, probably in another company. But it will not give you a leap. It will not make you Sundar Pichai, I can bet. And Sundar Pichai started as an employee, just like anyone. But how did that guy end up being a CEO? And I think more than 60,000 people who joined with him, who worked with him, along with him, continue to remain in some levels. Maybe some of them at the same level they started, with probably different ranking in the salary or categorization. Just for the heck of it, some designation change to keep people on the rolls. But that's adjustment. That's not peak performance. So my dear friends, the first takeaway is don't measure performance on the base of efforts. Because efforts, sorry to say, even those who used to be bought in the crossroads as slaves would give efforts, would put their efforts because there is a price tag on them and the master has bought them. But that effort, if it doesn't translate into your personal and organizational outcomes, even personal, I'm not just saying, again, no slave driving. If your outcomes do not sync with your organizational outcomes, then certainly you are not growing forward. Sometimes even you might grow backwards. So that's highly productive. And what about great individuals? Why are they great individuals? Just because they made so much money, they're great individuals? Just because they became so successful, they're great individuals? Why are they great individuals? Why am I jumping into judging them as they're great individuals, as if, I know what they are in real? Why? Visionary, that's one factor. See, who's an individual? An individual is unique in this world. That's why I said when you're born, everybody is born the same way, but you grow out to be a different person. Is there anybody, missed your name? Sumanthi. Is there another Sumanthi in this world? I bet there is none. Not even close. Is there another Lax in this world? Now I've seen a couple of them. I'm just kidding. But not even close. So, nobody. I think there is a genome match for about 5 billion people. So there is a possibility that there might be one more in 5 billion because we have 5.5 billion population. But even then, the behavioral aspects won't be the same. There might be a possible crossover of your physical features because genetics does just that. It doesn't transfer behavior, competence. So you're unique. Now, somebody who's so unique, realizing that they are unique in this world, entire world, on this planet, realizing that, and not wandering, figuring out their competence, staying the course, giving their 100% of the competence, and contributing to the world through their competence. Aren't they great individuals already? I don't care how much of debt they have, how much of unruliness they have in their life, but I will judge them personally as great individuals because they've contributed so much to the world. And they have provided employment to millions. They have, in their own way, alleviated a lot of poverty in this country or in the world. They have, in their own way, made many lives happy. And that is a great individual. Not somebody who donates 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees, does some service, does half part-time job today and in the evening watches movies, but in the night he'll pray God a lot. Great individuals' definitions can change, but my great individual definition is the one who understands who he is, why he has been given this great opportunity of being a human species, and then using that competence to better the world. Now, I'll just give you a glimpse of what a great individual means. Elon Musk's interview, you can look it up. I think you all can look it up. I forgot the old lady who interviewed him and said, there are a lot of other people, like even GM, they're cutting down the size of their manufacturing units. Are you willing to buy? He says, yeah, if they're willing, I will. I'll buy those factories. Then he said, they're also coming into electric cars. Looks like somebody wants to talk. Okay. She said that they also want to come into electric cars. He said, they're welcome. I would want more people coming into electric cars. So she said, don't you think that it is competition for you, your revenues will hit? He said, see, I told many times in my interviews that my goal is to ensure that the dependence on ICE, that the fuels, has to go, and we have to use electricity to drive our cars. This is one singular goal. So if I am able to achieve some, and if some other people want to achieve the same, I would be more happy. That's why my technology is open source. It's not patented. Can you understand somebody keeping an open source, not patented technology to use for building electric cars? Tesla's open source. So that is a great individual. I hope you got the point. So that is the common thread which runs between all these individuals, most of them. I can go behind each of these individuals and outline the great individual aspects apart from being great organizational leaders. Now, let's see. So, what is peak performance? Anybody? I've already given out. The cat is out of the bag. But anybody who wants to say what is, how do you define peak performance? I'm not looking for textbook definition. Giving your 100%, same with giving 100% every time? No, you're rejecting without even thinking. Is the sentence the same? Getting 100% result, is it different from or is it similar to giving you 100%? Different. How is it different?
You can give 100%, but you may not
get the 100% result. You might give 100% of effort, but you might still not get 100% result. So when I say giving you 100% is not getting 100%. So that benefit of doubt is given with due respect to a professional. So we're not saying, professionals are liars, so they say, I give my effort, but I don't get the results. No, we trust you when you say that. But do you continue to trust somebody who will continue to say that for every performance measure? I'm asking you. So, anybody. If I were to go to my home and tell my husband or wife something and say I'm not able to give 100%, they would expect you to do it the second time, third time, the fourth time, the fifth time. And after that, they would understand that your 100% is probably 5%. Okay, so you are not giving 100%, you are actually taking 100%. And you're giving only 5%. That is why you're unable to achieve 100% result. So, why there is a trust deficit between professionals and promoters or who drive the management? Why the conflicts? Why there is trust deficit? Why there is this, the bad feelings which people have about bosses? Why? Because of this. Because we run around these result performance contribution cycle. So if I'm not contributing through result, so what are you contributing actually? Please tell me. You're contributing to expenses. You're contributing to budgetary inflation and eventually bankruptcy. So you should be doing the opposite. That is why you're hired. So the idea of revenue generation for a business is like oxygen to an individual. If there is no revenue, an organization will die. As simple as that. If I close your mouth and nose together, you won't last too long. Right? Not just one, both. Because you might try breathing from your mouth. And if I close both of them, then you're gone in few minutes. But that's the life cycle of an organization too. A lot of businesses, a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs try to find external sources of oxygen, ventilators, okay, ICU, a lot of treatments. They do all sorts of things to continue to live. They'll not tell you all the stories every day. Oh, this is my effort to keep the organization alive, then you'll run away because the company is on ICU. They won't. They would contribute because they are the owners. Now, Sundar Pichai was not an owner, so why should he contribute? He was also an employee. He could just take his paycheck every month. So the productivity thereby, contribution thereby, peak performance thereby is a habit, my friends. It's a habit. It's not learned in schools. It's not taught in business schools. It's not trained in the sessions like this. It's about an individual. Whether that individual has an open understanding of his competence and understands that it will stagnate if he doesn't utilize it. And when it stagnates, when your competence stagnates, you do. It's just like what I told you about the business. If there is no oxygen, you die. And if I have competence and I'm not putting to use, then I lose that competence. I was just telling Lax that I started after the corona, I started the gym again. Right? I'm gymming again. I'm working out. I'm trying to pump up my muscle back to where I had a little bit. Now I did so much of it with focus in the last 3 days that I'm unable. Yesterday somebody carried me from place to place because my lower was so heavy because I just restarted. So you know the pains when you restart, right? So if you don't get the pain of delivering your competence, you will not get the gain. I mean, it should be foolish to expect a muscle when I don't work on it. And in the last 1 year, I have lost the muscle. Triceps, where are they? Biceps, where? I have to search. So why do you lose? Because I didn't work out. So what you don't work on, you lose. As simple as that. Darwin's theory. And what you use will grow. So let's move on. Now, how I wish we had an opportunity to physically interact. You know, I hate monologues. And I get drained by monologues, actually. I'm a very interactive, a dialogue-oriented person, especially because I do a lot of senior leadership interventions. And you understand it is not very easy to get old people to listen to you for too long. Then you're all young people, as I said, in teens, so it's much easier for me. Now, types of performers. I don't need to tell. I think most of it I've given away in the first 10 minutes. Okay, so what types of performers are there? There are a lot of performers, okay? Drama artists, movie artists, okay? And IT, enabled professionals, IT professionals, accounting professionals, brother is here. So a lot of people, you know, I think we have amongst us right now who's in the session, HR people, business development people, sales people, programmers, coders, team leaders, and I suppose I covered most of them, right? Yeah, so all of them can be put under 3 categories, my dear friends. Don't get scared. Now, who are these people? I mean, all of you. What is it? What is the classification of peak performance or performers? Non-performers, average performers, peak performers. I don't want to use the analogy, you are either pregnant or not pregnant. Okay? I don't want to use the analogy, but I did. Okay? You cannot be in between. Okay? It's not possible to be in between. The same way, it's not possible to be an average performer. That's actually a swear word. That if I call myself an average performer, so what are you averaging? Why are you averaging? What for are you averaging? What is the purpose of being an average individual? Do you think that you have a life of a tortoise like 700 years so that I can average things out? There is none. So there is no reason to be average, but people choose to be. That's the irony of life. And average is a mentality, average is a mindset. You're not born with it. Unfortunately, people pick it up later. You're a genius when you're born because you have all this, unless you have some challenges, which those things nowadays politically incorrect to even use the word challenge, because even those individuals have sensory issues or doing some maybe better than other people. I hope you got the point what I'm saying. But when people have all the sensory perception, all 5 senses, all limbs in place, entire nervous system properly running, Still they're average. Now, who can explain this? It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It can be a walk in the park. It can be a smile. It can be a handshake. It can be a hug or a kiss. Why are you average? Why are you not excellent? Why can't you do it 100%? A conversation. How many years since you had a proper conversation with anybody? Heart to heart. Nice. I'm longing. Let me tell you that much. I'm longing to have a heart to heart, non-scrupulous, non-deceptive, non-manipulative, heart-to-heart, open, hearty conversation. It's rare nowadays. Now that is the advancement human race has made. The technological advancement. That we have lost out on our emotions, on our competence to at least communicate properly, smile properly, handshake properly, hug properly. Thanks to Corona, hugging is also gone. Kissing and hugging is out of the window. So now, what are we doing above average? Or what are we doing at work? How many times we see through people because of the internal politics at work? See through. You don't exist only for me. I'll come into the office, I come across you, you come across me, but I'll walk, you will walk, as if we are two different animals who doesn't recognize each other. And we'll work in the same team. Because we have some issues. And most of those issues are assumptions. Most of these issues are based on assumptions. Now, that's where you remain an average. And a non-performer it's better to not talk about those people. Those people keep hopping. The only thing they can do in life is to survive. They'll keep hopping. Another 2%, hop. 1% more, yeah, hop. Give me 1 more %, I'll come. These are hoppers. Lifelong they'll be hopping. They would get nowhere. Just imagine Sundar Pichai hopping. Would he get to CEO? One company, that's all. I think he worked 2 companies in his entire career. Satya, 1 company. Now you take anybody who made it to C-level from an employee grade in any big company, they would have worked 1-2 companies. That's it. Not 10 companies. Man, as long the list is, that's like a glorious career, man. 10-15 companies. Now what does that show? That show you are not wanted. You're not being asked to stay. People are not giving you a raise to stay or a role to go up. So you have no choice but to keep jumping. So please don't get me wrong. It's no disrespect when I say this. But I'm only as a friend trying to advise you that there is a phrase called stickitivity. Okay? You don't find it in dictionary, it's mine. So you stick around, you can become anything. And partly I have a leg in politics. I see people in that fraternity utterly incompetent, but stuck around for 30 years and they become, I don't want to say the words, but they can become anything. Ministers, chief ministers, anything. Don't get me to say things, okay? Politically incorrect. So, sometimes it's not even competence. Sometimes it is stickitivity. But then that's a long, long haul, a long, long travel, journey. It will tire you. But what are you saving all the competence for? Are you going to dig and bury along with you? So my dear friends, fly. Just fly. Open your arms, open your wings, get your competence out of your system, deliver as if nobody's seeing, just like how you dance without, as if nobody's seeing. That's how you should deliver your competence. You should feel proud that I'm doing more than what I'm asked. I'm giving everything I've got. And don't tell me people don't recognize that. Anybody would like to disagree with me? That if you give more than what you got, first of all, give what you got. If you can give that honestly, enjoying what you're doing, do you think people don't recognize that? I'm asking a question. You can tell me no. You can say that I can do donkey's work, but people don't recognize me. I can give my 100% competence, people don't recognize me. I've been doing that since 5 years, nobody gave me a raise. You can complain. But then when you reflect, you will realize you might have made mistakes. That you're talking about efforts. You're probably not talking about, fill in the blank please, results. So you are working. Maybe the analogy of a donkey is also true. But the issue is, the results are here, you're working this side. Now that's not smart. And most of the guys who achieve results are necessarily not donkeys. They are smart. They know if they plan well, if they draw a proper blueprint, if they get the resources together and attack the problems in between, obstacles in between, they can get the results. This is what they do. Now for that you need to have a discipline. So now look at these guys. I leave it to you. Be honest. I'm not asking you to do it right now or raise your hands. I will not embarrass anyone. I can raise my own hand and say I was an average performer in the first few years of my life. And then because I didn't realize that it matters so much to get you everything out. I was. And I don't shy to be saying that. I don't feel any shyness, embarrassment. For the first 3 years of my life, I thought things will happen by itself. I was of the view that people will come to me and seek my advice as a strategist. And I thought I am too much of my own. I mean, I'm great. I have like a long lineup of degrees. What the hell? The other two guys don't have it. So people will come to me. No, people didn't come to me. And I waited and I put my efforts, but no results. Because I was putting the efforts in the wrong area, in the wrong direction, without having a SMART goal, small, measurable, achievable, reviewable, time-bound goal. SMART, S-M-A-R-T. Not a big, hairy, audacious goal. That's a grand vision, you should have that. But a SMART goal, achievable, small, measurable, achievable, reviewable, time-bound. The day I realized that I need to focus, have a direction, achieve, then I started getting results. Once you get results, you go on to the top. What is that? Not the top, non-performers. Peak. It is like one friend of mine, Coleman York, he's a Canadian, he's a Jew. We used to have fun with him that he's a Jews or misers supposed to be, but not all Jews are misers. We used to pull his leg. Coleman York is a great friend of mine. So he told me once when we were flying together, peak performance related issue. He said, if you're not at peak, you won't get the high of life. And once you're at the peak, you can never want to get down. Because once you taste champagne, you don't want to have any other drink. So his analogy was a drunkard analogy. But leave it there. I don't want to promote champagne here. But once you taste the peak performance, the peak of your career, the peak of your competence, the peak of recognition, the peak of identity, the peak of contribution, now why would you want to become an average contributor? Why would you want to come and be a non-performer? So my dear friends, tell me, how many of you have actually experienced peak in your careers? It doesn't matter. As I said, I had a 3-year downtime. It doesn't matter. But if you had been working, if you have been working 10 years, let's say 15 years, 20 years, and if you haven't got to that point where you felt, wow, this is me, and this is how the world recognizes my work. If you haven't got that point, then there is something wrong. You need to correct. As a friend, I'm saying it. I'm not trying to drive anything into you. No disrespect. But it's time to stop doing everything you're doing today. This morning for the guys in US, this evening for the guys in India, and take a couple of hours by yourself, date with yourself, and then sit and rethink your entire plan of what you wish to do and how you want to do it. Otherwise, what's the point? I told Lax keeps investing into startups. So once a while he invites me to sit in the pitches which these guys make. A lot of pitches are very funny. They don't know where to start and where to end. And in between, there is no substance. So when I sit with him, I see, and also a couple of other friends who also promote a lot of startups, and they also invite me over. And then the pitch completes, and there's one guy who said, see, this is what we have been doing as a startup from the last 7 years. I said, stop. You're no more a startup. Finish. Thank you very much. You can pass. 7 damn years. You call yourself a startup? You're supposed to be winding up after 2 years. Sorry for being harsh. If you cannot show revenue, if you cannot have a model which can be commercialized, why are you even existing? Your model failed, damn it. It's failed. You cannot, can you pull out somebody from the coffin and get him to walk again? No, I didn't see any story of a dead startup after 7 years coming back alive and making the world a bigger, brighter place. I haven't seen this model anywhere. There are no stories of a revival of a dead startup. Because if your business model didn't work in 10 cycles of quarters, finish, you're done. Either you are not worthy to lead that startup, or your business model has a bloody flaw which nobody is correcting. Number 3, your business idea doesn't have wings to fly. Nobody is buying your idea. Now these 3 things are essential to understand for promoters. The same is the case with individuals like me and you. If I am not doing things after I am ready in the market, okay, pick me up, I am in the market, I have the qualifications, and you very well say that, I got a CTC of this much. Okay, so somebody bought you. Okay, in the real sense of it, somebody has bought you. They bought you as a package. Your competence, your qualifications, your experience, right? Am I right? I'm being blunt. Now, what's the ROI? What's the return? Where is the success in the model of you as an individual? How many cycles should an entrepreneur or a promoter should see before he should shake hands with you, or bye-bye with you, or hug you and get you ahead in the organization? How many? You should decide, not the organization. That's the idea. There has to be a conscience of an individual that what am I doing here from check to check? And let's say I've realized after 3 years, I'm telling my story, that damn it, I'm in the wrong direction. I figured I walked in the wrong direction. That's not my goal at all. Then what do? What's the best thing to do? Stop, bloody take the turn right then. Take the turn, take a U-turn, walk back if it takes another 3 years. But go in the direction which will give you results eventually. Stop, take a sabbatical, learn a new skill, upgrade, walk the other path which you feel you're good at. So don't force yourself into something which you cannot perform. So a lot of peak performers, my friends, a lot of non-performers who are there.
In the wrong direction.
No, I don't even think they are in the wrong direction. They chose to be non-performers. I'll not give them a benefit of doubt. I'm pretty cruel in that context. I told you that when I was wasting my 3 years, I was an average performer. I didn't say I'm a non-performer. I was still giving efforts. I was still trying to package myself. I was still trying to sell myself. I was still having a hope. See, all these factors are average performers. Guys who don't have even these factors, no hope, no preparation, no plan, no direction, no goals, no interest to contribute, no competence. The last one is the first one actually. No competence. Now this is the guy who is a non-performer. Now those folks are supposed to go to Himalayas. They're not supposed to be in organizations. They're wasting the capital of the world. I won't say lakhs. Okay? And average performers has a second chance. Average performer is not a bad person. He is misguided. Maybe by own self, not necessarily by others. Or misdirected by own self or by others. or I'll give you the heart of the issue of our average performer, because 90% are in that category, 90. And sorry to say that. It's a bloated number, looks like that, but it's a factual number. There are many studies about intrapreneur, entrepreneur, and inspirational and goal-oriented Gallup polls in organizations, within organizations, in terms of intrapreneurship and entrepreneurship. An employee is called an intrapreneur, is supposed to own what he's doing. Now, in that context, there are many studies which actually talk about a 90% lapse for individuals to be inspired to be peak performers. So 90% of them are average performers. Now, there is a fault in the management, organizational leadership, who's not equipped to identify a willful average performer to an accidental average performer and guide and mentor. I hope you got the point. So, leaders at different levels. It's not necessarily the CEO who has to identify. At different levels of the organization, when you have managers, what is the business of a manager? Is that, see, if the Indian team doesn't win, who's responsible? Yeah. Why do we attack their homes, unfortunately? Why do folks go and attack homes of the captains? Because people feel that this guy is responsible for their miserable performance. But do we do that in organizations? I think we're too busy doing that. We don't review performance properly. So organizations which doesn't review performance properly end up with non-performers. Organizations which lower their standard because they have low standard people will further go lower. Unfortunate. But why do you think promoters can be peak performers? Sometimes promoters are average performers. So if promoters are average performers, their understanding of the performance is also the same. So they do mistakes which impact their own organization accidentally, not willfully. There is no willful promoter who wants to perform average because he's putting money. But mostly they are ill-informed, uninformed, accidental, average performers who do not know that the structure of an organization can be controlled by proper review, carrot and stick. Now, if you only give carrot and no stick, you end up having certain kind of animals. Now, if you do both properly, that is when you continue to breed quality in the organization. One time and again, I take Elon Musk because the guy seems to be good in all the schools of thought in management. He's considered the most cruel boss. And he's considered somebody who drives employees mad with the amount of load he puts on people. But then when, in some interviews, he opens up and says, then when I do that, I cannot expect my employees to do lower or less than me. Okay? Because I consider all of them as the owners of this corporation. And I pay them that well. And I give them that kind of a raise in their roles and responsibilities. So I expect the same standards. And if you don't fit, the best thing is a chat in the cabin of CEO or a handshake or a kiss goodbye. Because I don't want to lower my standards because your standards are low. Now that is the way to run an organization. If you close your eyes for 6 months, you will be breeding a lot of non-performers in your organization. So my dear friends, that is the same with individuals. If you close your eyes for 6 months and take it easy, get some slack in your system, then you become whatever category you belong other than peak performer. So, why peak performance? Somebody didn't put the animation here, so I got all of them out for you at once. So, okay, you got the answers. Why peak performance? Guys, you have it on the screen. Anybody knows? Is it India choice or something? Individual choice. You got it. Next, habit. Third, yeah. So basically, the mess up here in this slide is we should have got individual on the first side, on the first lot, left side, and organization on the top. So these are why peak performance in individuals, why peak performance in the organization. I hope you got the point. So the first block is about why individuals choose to be peak performers. Believe me, friends. Are you guys tired or you're all right? Yeah, I'm enjoying interaction with you. See, why people, I mean, is it that, I wake up every morning and say, I want to be a non-performer today. Will that happen? No. Does anybody design themselves to be non-performers? Or my life has to be non-performing, damn it. I have realized I shouldn't perform. Now, can anybody do that? But trust me, they might not say it, but that's what they do. Non-performers, they might not openly say that, but their orientation is such that internally their question is, very powerful question, why should I perform? Trust me, I have spoken to guys acting like a non-performer in organizations. When I took up some organizational re-engineering organization programs, we were turned around. A lot of loss-making companies where I have to be turned around. 1 or 2 big companies, I have turned them around. 125% growth I've given. So when I interacted on the shop floor, at the management level, like one of those disgruntled employees, I didn't put any mask or anything, but just like that, brand new guy. So they tell, why should I perform? This is the question, yeah? Very powerful question there. Why should I perform? Now, I don't want to go beyond that. This question is good enough for somebody to be a non-performer. And another question, similar question, why shouldn't I perform? Just a small change is what drives somebody into a peak performance. Why shouldn't I perform? Why shouldn't I deliver? Why can't I achieve results? Why can't I give more than 100%? Why can't I double my efforts? Why can't I be the number one in this team? Why can't I be the next CEO for this company? If I have an idea, why can't I go talk with my immediate manager? If the guy is too busy, why can't I scale up to the next level? Write an email that this is the idea which can increase productivity in this organization. Why don't I ideate? Why don't I say, hey, you know what? There is a possibility of a new enterprise in what we're doing. I would love to lead that. Why don't you invest into it and I'll come and pitch you? If you have the competence, not randomly, not for drama. Or who would do that? Somebody who asks a question that why can't I do this? So that's an individual choice. Somebody who wants to perform, not perform, give average performance, basically is making you fill in the blank. It's an individual choice. So please don't blame anybody. And those individual choices are driven from habits, as I told you. Now, I don't want to take you to another subject which is my passion, which is emotional intelligence. All your habits are what? I've told before, some of them are there here. All your habits. Some habits have given you the choice of being an average performer. So that's a bad habit, as I see, an unproductive habit. But why did you get that habit in? You're not born with it. Why did you get it? It's an FTA cycle. Feeling, thought, action cycle. If I allow a feeling which is self-defeating to enter me and say, take some slack, relax. Why do you want to work like a dog? Okay, is this your business? Okay, do you not get a check next time? Okay, take it easy. Go online sometime, make some friends, chat up, get a break. So these feelings driving those kind of self-defeating thoughts leading to actions of taking too many breaks, getting deviated from plans, or creating artificial obstacles ourselves and then blaming it on somebody. And then when there are obstacles, trying to just stall and say, okay, there are obstacles, I cannot go forward, so you help me, instead of looking for resolution yourself. All these, I've been there, so I know all the acts. Okay, so these acts, when they become a counter, 001, 002, feeling, thought, action. Hope you're getting my point. It's a small algorithm. FTA, the same feeling, same thought, same actions in a counter of about, let's say 100 times applied creates a habit, a self-defeating habit, which drives a choice of being a non-performer. As simple as that. There is no rocket science here. Now, if you don't figure that, if you don't break that habit, now you're bound to be a non-performer or an average performer throughout your life. Sometimes you don't even know why you have become like that. The irony is that you cannot go fix it because you don't know why you become like that. It is like an alcoholic. It's like a drug addict. Can they fix it themselves? I wish. They have to go to a rehabilitation center. And in here, there is no rehabilitation. You just lose jobs. And then you don't get any. And then you wonder why. Is it because I'm not tall enough? Am I not good looking enough? Am I not proficient in English enough? No, it is because of your habits. I have a friend who wakes up at 1:30 in the noon. He sleeps at 3 o'clock in the morning. Necessarily not doing anything other than drinking, partying, and watching TV, some series. So try for night shifts. But the problem is I have to watch some web series. I have to party, once in a while. What is life here? So the guy is saying that since 30 years. Can you believe that? 30 years. He started off with me. He's penniless, full of debt. EMI bounces. But still wakes up at 3 o'clock in the noon. The other day I was in Bangalore. Relax. I was in Bangalore. That chap was there. He is this size now. He was half of me. Very handsome guy. All girls in the college used to fall for him. What happened to that fellow? He used to take risks. We used to talk. We used to dream. We used to envision things. Something happened to that fellow. Very sad. It pains me. It brings tears to me. But the fellow doesn't know what happened to him. He still talks as if he's the king of some company, some kingdom. I don't know where the kingdom is. Mad kingdom. So my friends, what I'm saying is that there's a danger that you can fall into that trap. The trap where you start blaming other people for your failures, for your choices, for your misadventures. Now, habit, I explained to you, the FTA. Playing on your mind? No? Yeah. It's Friday night, right? Friday evening, yeah, I can understand. People might have plans. I'm sorry. Yeah, so tell me, what possibly is the goal size of peak performers? I'm rephrasing the question.
As big as result.
Huge. What are you doing? I mean, come on, express yourself. Humongous. Sometimes unreasonably big. Just imagine a man thinking that I want to populate Mars. What is the size of his goal? I want to populate Mars. That's unthinkable for normal individuals. But then, is he getting there? Yes. Did he start working towards it? Yes. Not having just a, I can say, okay, I want to populate moon, but I'll be sitting at home watching web series. It will not happen. But this guy, a peak performer, is someone who has a goal that size, but he goes behind it like mad. Then he finds a blueprint for success at every stage. Now his SpaceX is almost ready to get people to space. Now from then, it's another feat to go to Mars. So, and in our lifetime, we will see it. Believe me. Not just lifetime, the next 5 years, you will see a human astronaut landing on Mars. And most probably SpaceX will deliver. So I'm not campaigning for Elon Musk here. He's not running for office. But I love that guy. He's great. He's like an example. He's a role model for human competence, what it can accomplish. He's the peak performer of the world today, of human race. I won't feel shamed to say that. I'll be very proud to say that. So that's the goal size. So I'm not saying you have goals like that. But what I'm saying, if there are ordinary goals, you can be an ordinary performer. You will be, eventually. If you have a bigger goal for your own personal life, for your own, it necessarily not be just money. It could be money also, it could be possessions also, but it's not just that. It's not just about big home, 2 dogs. I don't want to say, okay, I'll roll sometimes in a flow. Okay, big home, big car, yacht, okay. You can have all that, but that's not just what drives you. A goal size is possibly something which you want to contribute, something you want to say that I did this. Identity, ownership, could be, possibly that is what you want to do. That is the goal size. Now, Narendra Modi has a goal, wanted to be a prime minister. People were laughing at him. He did, accomplish that. For a man of his background, of his standing, of his social standing, qualifications, of his political background, nobody would think it is possible. Well, it did become possible. Obama had a goal, become possible. Well, all these guys just didn't put goals because they should be there, like ornaments. They work towards it. So peak performance for individuals is about goal size also. If you're a non-performer, understand your goal size is like you have to have a microscope. Because if you really had goals, you would never be a non-performer. In any area, personal, professional, marital, any area, if you had bigger, better goals, you would never be a non-performer. Average performer has average goals. Average performer has average personal goals, average financial goals, average marital goals, average community goals, average social goals. So obviously, he's an average guy. It's okay. You give 20%, 30%. I live 30% in my life. So what the heck? I might have another life. I'll follow some philosophy, as somebody introduced me with philosophy instead of psychology. Okay, organization side. Just have a look at the organization side. See, organizations make choices. They recruit wrong people. So if I'm an organization, I'm recruiting, let's say even senior leaders, if I don't have an understanding of what is real performance measured with, then I would end up choosing wrong people. And if I don't have the ability to filter out, or the qualifications, or the quality to filter out wrong people are non-performers. As simple as that. There is no going back on it. Or if I don't have the will to act and take some decisions, like shutting down a startup after 4 years of failure. If I don't have the will, then it will bleed me. So it's an organizational choice. So don't complain. If your organization is not performing, you are also a part of it. If your organization is not accomplishing revenues, you are a part of it. There is an issue with your standards, and your standards will be getting carried through every layer of your organization. And I have known many organizations. I have known an organization who the promoter is a very generous man. Now Poonam knows what I'm talking about, my friend here. A generous man, a kind man, has a lot of wealth, ancestral wealth. So he started businesses, and then he considers running a business as charity. Okay? So I advised him, why don't you run a charity? Why do you want to do business as charity? Why don't you actually run charity? Because if you run a business as charity, you would certainly have no money left to do charity eventually. I told him in the blunt manner I could, 12, 13 years ago. Today, serious pain. Serious pain. Big, big company. So I'm not excited about I have told you so kind of a phrase. Not excited. I'm not happy. But it hurts when people don't listen. Because at the high of your enterprise success, you feel that everything you do is right. Nobody knows more than me. Okay? But that's the attitude which will kill you. So if organizations don't choose their people right, then they should be in charity, they shouldn't be in business. If they cannot act on people who are not performing, the same answer. If they do not promote people who are performing, then they will certainly lose. the liability of not giving the right people the right role is a death knell to an organization. The process of punishing a performer is the worst thing which can happen to an organization. Forget about identifying and rewarding a performer. Because of the hearsay, because of lack of proper communication channels, because of lack of review system, because of lack of understanding of the promoter, that if a performer is undermined in an organization, that kills 20% of your organization. Every time one performer is killed, 20% of your organization is killed. Every time one performer is promoted, given a better role, better pay, better raise, 20% of your organization stands up, looks up, gets inspired. That is the organizational side. So most of you guys are running teams. It's like you're also organizational leaders. You misinform your senior leaders about who's performing, who's not performing. You give wrong reviews. You do not identify the competent challengers in your organization, the competent professionals in your organization, and want to have puppets, want to have pets, wants to have amateurs surrounded you who can do bhajan for you, then you are going to kill the organization by being a senior leader. So the irony in our system, and I'll be very blunt about it, I don't care a hoot about what people think. In India, in my nation, is that we promote average people. Everywhere, excellence is beaten down. We do not scout for excellence because we feel we cannot deal with those folks who are with a lot of power, lot of capability. And I am not saying about anybody. I am saying this is general at every organizational layer. I want people who are smaller than me. Because that guy might challenge my role. Damn it, what a fool. What a fool you are. That a guy who you hired is a tall guy, you would grow on his shoulders. Because if you've been hiring tall guys in your organization, or giants in your organization, your senior manager or your promoter will identify you like this. That is how people grow. Sundar Pichai didn't grow because he had Lilliputs all around him. You don't become tall by Lilliputs around you. You don't become God because people do bhajan for you. God has to perform. God has to deliver. God has to stand up and be an example. What kind of a leader are you if you're not promoting? So I tell, even politically, the core function of a leader, apart from having a vision, driving a path, strategy, and then inspiring, motivating, communicating, persuading, and achieving results, apart from all that, another core is to develop leaders. And if you are not developing leaders in your organization, what the hell are you doing? If the last 10 years you have the same faces, and the same faces are where they are, and there are no new faces who have become tall, who are growing your business, who's building your revenues, what the hell are you doing? So, when I say organization, it's not about lakhs. It's about each of you who are running divisions. It's about each of you who are running verticals. You are given that responsibility to do it. It's not his job. His job is to appoint you. So, my dear friends, productivity is that. What is productivity? Tasking is not productivity, results is. And what is the result of a leader is to multiply leaders. Multiply performers in your organization. So, my dear friends, organizational leaders who are here, HR, sales, administration, and vertical heads, please look at what kind of an ecosystem are you developing in your organization. Is that allowing peak performance? As I said, is it promoting average performers? Is it undermining excellence? And people who are excellent are saying, oh man, I cannot stand here. I cannot do this. This is a bunch of morons here working. I cannot handle this kind of environment, and they run away. Competent people cannot operate. Why do you think Google is the best place to work in the world? Why? Tell me one. Tell me one reason. Why some workplaces are called, what is so great about it that some workplaces are called the best workplaces to work?
Their opinions are valued.
Okay, their opinions, employee opinions are valued, okay?
Work culture.
What is work culture? That's a big word.
the performance.
Recognize performers, I think that's the core of it.
Empowerment of employees also.
That's the core of it. A recognition of competence, a recognition, valuing professionals. These are the two things. Recognition of competence, valuing professionals. Who's a professional? Who turns up on time, who delivers on tasks, who writes emails promptly, who is precise, who is focused, sharp, understands instructions, understands briefs, does less error or no error, doesn't take anything personal, detached from personal interactions, always focused on professional interactions, goal setter, goal achiever, result oriented. I can list out, these are the characters. And don't you think they can be seen in a man who's working? Do you think we are blinded by some kind of a power, if I am even a middle level manager, that I cannot see somebody who's having these? At least 50% of what I said. And that guy is what you to work with, what you should be working with. That girl is whom you should be promoting. And once you do that, your organization becomes a better workplace, the ecosystem. Now that's what the middle leaders, senior leaders should be doing. The goal size, again, as I said, do you lower your standards or you increase your standards? Whether your organizational goals, your vertical goals, your team goals, when you discuss goals or timelines or project deadlines, do you try to go down to the level of your team, or do you set a limit of your own standard and then try accomplishing that somehow? That somehow is your competence. You recruit a new person, or you take off two people to create fear of loss, or you promote somebody to create a inspiration somewhere in the team, to recognize, you take them out for a small get together. What you do is up to you. But do you have an organizational goal size which will go above and build your team up instead of take your team down into lower standards? So, my dear friends, this is how it works when I said, why peak performance? So, anybody, just to kind of sum this up, why peak performance? Why does an individual need to perform at his peak, at a peak? And why should an organization perform to its peak? Because if you don't perform, why are you there? If it's an employee, you should resign and go. If it's an organizational owner, maybe you should wind up. If there is a non-performing company, I mean, there's an accountant here, chartered accountant. There's the non-performing asset. What's the big deal of pumping money into a white elephant? What's the point? Now, a lot of people, while I'm on boards advising people, multiple verticals, big businesses, big groups, after going through the balance sheets and their revenue reports and some internal reviews and the quality of their employees, I go through multiple areas which are not just numbers. Before I tell them one day that get out of this business. So people feel bad, especially the promoter feels bad that I have given so much of time, and this man, I asked him to advise, I pay him to advise. He says, get out of the business, and that is his advice. Get out of the business? Man, that's the advice you have? Yeah, it's irreparable. Some businesses, after a certain cycles, become irreparable. They have damaged themselves so badly that if they continue, then there will be a big hole. So whatever you pour into it will just go out. It will not do any good. So your shareholder value goes unbelievably low. So you better wind up. Do something. Merge internally or fuse, whatever you do. So this is what you should do if you are unable to perform at your peak. I certainly feel it is better to put your money in bank and get that 3% in USA and 7% in India than do a business which doesn't give you a high, which doesn't make you believe that I'm contributing something, I'm doing something, I'm delivering something. The same is the case with individuals. It's better you bake something at home instead of, even a man, I also bake, don't get me wrong, no gender here. Then come and do nothing. or deliver nothing or doesn't deliver great results, there's no point. So my dear friends, this is about you. This is about assessing what am I doing. That is why performance matters so much. Okay, we are on the last two slides possibly. How does it impact you and the organization? I've already told you. So I'll just run this through. For an individual, who's a non-performer in that list? Who's a non-performer, who's an average performer, and who's a peak performer in the individual list? Leadership is a peak performer. Non-performer? Non-performer growth? No. Success? Huh? Professional? Non-performers are professionals? Man, your assessment is great. Achha, you're saying there can be a professional who's non-performer. Very good. Okay. Basically, there is no non-performer here. Because a professional can never be, a non-performer can never be called a professional. That's a spelling mistake. Never do that. You are actually rewarding a non-performer by calling him a professional. It's an insult to professionals. You should call him an amateur and pay him accordingly. Please. Pay him accordingly. I'm not saying remove, or I'm not saying get rid of him. Pay him accordingly, whatever he deserves. But a professional needs to be valued. And a performer is a professional. A professional means he has a set of competencies to deliver a set of results. Am I right or am I defining a professional wrong? If there is a doctor, he's supposed to deliver a certain results at a certain price with his certain competencies. Now, if he cannot do both these things either ways, neither competencies he has nor delivery, why are you paying him? Then he's an amateur. So amateurs are not professionals. So non-performers are never called professionals. You should never give them the label of a professional. People who are unprepared, people who are never on time, people who can never communicate without having personal issues, people who carry loads more than their weight on their head all the time, these fellows are not professionals. They're amateurs. They are individuals, single individuals who are a liability to themselves and this world. Now, they cannot be in this list. So, this is peak performance, my friends. All that is peak performance. An individual peak performer is a professional. An individual performer who's peak performer will always get growth. It impacts his life like nothing else. Growth is a given. And if the growth is not given at one point, there will be another point where he gets the growth. He is saleable, he has value, and he carries that value everywhere. And he or she. Success ensured as long as you can continue on the path where you need to work, unlike me, in that 3 years. So if you choose a direction, keep working, keep performing, success is 100% assured. And leadership, Sundar Pichai is an example, Satya Nadella example, Indra Nui is an example. Employees running world-class, global, multi-to flourish, allowing the best to grow in the organization. And that is the individual aspect of how peak performers impact and how peak performance impacts them. Now, what about organizations? Organizations which promote peak performance will have results, will get results, will achieve results. It achieves, I can guarantee you growth. You just line up your top 10 people, I'll tell you whether your company goes down or goes up in the next 2 years. You want to invest into stocks? Just look at the top 10 leaders of that company. And then look at the product portfolio and the revenue flows. That's it. Look at both sides, the numbers and the people. If numbers and people match, then that stock's going to go up. No wonder, again, coming back to Elon Musk, the top of the game. People, products, revenue, and the man. You got it, guys? So that is growth, success, assured, and leadership. Now, just imagine, in an industry dominated by giants like General Motors, Toyota, Mercedes, and then so many other big companies, automobile giants, how did Tesla take birth, grow, and become a market leader?
Key differentiator.
Yeah, what's the key differentiator? Yeah, but can't the other guys make? Can GM make a better product than Tesla? Why did he get the edge?
Best performance.
Peak performance, leadership.
The best product.
Leadership. He took the lead, the first mover advantage. So the leadership for an organization is about moving into spaces whom people didn't even think about. Not only that, a lot of people move into organization, I think for instance, we had an electric car here, Reva. But Tesla was not even, I think Elon Musk didn't even cross the borders of United States. He was still in South Africa when Reva came into India. But again, timing, leadership is also about when to do what. So Reva came in too early. The timing is key. The leadership is about when to do what. So he did the right thing at the right time. And then he didn't dream about it, he achieved it. So organizationally, peak performance gives you results, success, growth, and leadership. And leadership of markets, spaces, zones. So the idea is an organization is set up, it should aim for that leadership in some space. If the organization doesn't have a goal where to go, and if you just want to survive, then obviously a lot of other things will not fall into place. Right? So, let's see. We didn't? So guys, finally, one last slide. This is it. And I hope, the Friday evening we spent and the Friday morning for folks from there, if it is worthwhile spending this time with me, whether it's boring or whether it's value adding, I leave it to you. But if it can drive some reflection, if it can enable you, if you are either partially disabled or disabled, emotionally and inspirationally, it is essential to use every wake hour. Put it to productive use, because after a certain age and time, because all of us have a shelf life. Some of the non-performers feel, as I told you, that they don't have a shelf life, they are tortoises. They have 700 years, but we don't. And after 60s and 70s, no matter how much peak you want to perform in any area, all areas you will fall, okay? With an exception of few guys, very, very few prized possessions of the world. But otherwise, why do you want to wail away your youth? Why do you want to wail away your prime age in not performing, not delivering, not contributing, not winning the laurels for your own competence? So please do not waste time. My earnest request as a friend is, do not waste every single wake hour. Be aware that there is so much you can accomplish, and no matter what has happened in the past, you can bury it. Choose a path, travel well, keep upgrading yourself. How to peak perform is the key slide after what we have gone through, this small journey we had. Have growth goals. These are not goals for acquisition of a car or a building or a home or a whatever. These are growth goals for your personal self. So what do I want to see myself in the next 5 years? Have a goal. 2 years, a short term, 5 year, a long term in the kind of world we are living in. Those long term goals of 20 years are gone. We don't know what the world will be in 20 years or 10 years. So 2 years of a short term goal, 5 years of a long term goal. Have a clarity of core competence. I want everybody to pay attention to what I'm saying in this last slide. Don't be a generalist. People don't value generalists. There might still be market for generalists. People say, are you a HR generalist? They might ask you in the interviews. Or you a sales generalist, or you a IT generalist. But that is not going to give you growth. It will get you a job possibly. Growth is in specialization. Growth is driven through core competence. And leadership is driven through people management, which includes even you. I hope you're getting this well. Leadership is not possible only with the technological know-how or coding or programming or the core competence technically. You have to marry that with the people management skills, which should start with you. So you have to first manage your own self so well that you become a role model in your team. That, man, you manage yourself how? How? How are you so fit? How are you so sharp? How are you so in time? How are you so communicative? How are you so relaxed? How are you so mindful? And how are you so precise? And how are you so professional, damn it? If this is what you draw feedback, generally people don't give feedback, especially the positive one much. But if you can do it, that feedback, even if it comes from 1%, 2%, is good enough for you to know that you're on the right track. Marry it with the technical skills, which is core competence. And my dear friends, if you don't have core competence so far, if you cannot call anything core competence so far, however long you have journeyed, it is time to acquire. Choose a piece of the space which is passionate for you. Like, for instance, a lot of people tell me, I used to do, and I do no more. I used to do 3-day workshops. 3 days. I mean, I look back, my son was saying, God damn it, people can hear you 3 days. I mean, the generation doesn't want to hear any 3 minutes nowadays. But unfortunately, I have my son who wants to listen to me all the time, so I'm glad. He wanted to come here actually. So I said, man, you'll distract a lot of people here. You're too young to be in the crowd. He's 30, 35, so you're 15, 16, so he'll have a problem. So, but in any case, so what I'm saying is your growth goals have to be in tandem with your love to do what you want to do. So I told my son, Sahas, I love what I do, so I never worked one day in my life. So when I talk to you, I'm enjoying it. It's lovely. So many people, maybe 100 people are now interacting, especially after a little while you'll interact, but I've been listening, we are having a conversation, though mentally you're saying something and I am unable to grasp if you're out of this room. But that's the beauty, okay? So we are sharing. I'm adding some value to you, some value addition is happening. So I love it. So if you can choose a profession where you don't need to work a day in your life, whether that is coding, programming, whether it is HR, whether it's sales, whether it is whatever technical aspects of your role, then make that your core competence, and that gives you growth. Core competence is critical for you to peak perform. So if I have no core competence, what am I performing on? What will drive your growth? Which specialization, what are you? How do I identify you? So your identity is connected to your core competence. Don't forget this is very critical, where a lot of people are getting drifted. They want to do everything. I don't want to name the courses, but there are 4 or 5 different tools, and I say, I'm this, I'm that, but what are you? So ensure that you have a core competence. Then result orientation, I cannot stress more than what I have already stressed. I don't want to get forceful on this, because don't count your efforts. It's waste. And there can be some gullible managers who will buy your story. But if there is a guy who has proper meat in his head, he would laugh at it. Because efforts mean nothing in business. Let me tell you this. I can put in all the efforts and burn my money. At the end of the day, nobody will come to rescue me as a business owner. Okay? I can have all the passion. Somebody was saying passion. Passion is such a overrated word. Overrated term. Passion means nothing. Passion is an emotion of love. But that's about it. I love something, but I don't do anything. How would I get anything in return? Just by passion, if I run a business, I'll die. I need to understand the language of business, accounts. I need to understand the revenue flows. I need to understand workflows. I need to understand business model, the revenue model, human resources model, business process. How will you run a business if you don't understand all that? That applies to you individually too. So result orientation. I want you to review your own performance every week. This is my suggestion as a friend. Don't worry about other people reviewing it. This week, what did I accomplish? On a Saturday, just sit over a coffee, take your laptops, your gadgets away, and maybe take a piece of paper and say, what did I accomplish this? Personally, what did I accomplish? Professionally, what did I accomplish? Socially, what did I accomplish? Did I make any friends? What is my contribution to my organization this week? Just small record and see how fulfilling it is after 6 weeks. Go back and look at those weekend record of your performance and you'll feel proud that you have at least added some value. Whether people recognize or not recognize, that's a different story. That's their pitfall. Okay? They'll face the consequences of not recognizing. But at least you've recognized, you'll feel good about it. Please do that. And then the last is eventually the valuation. Sundar Pichai's valuation, anybody knows how much he gets paid? I don't know the numbers. I think after a certain point, you don't need to really look at the numbers anymore. The number of zeros are too many. But why? That's what I said. These guys are not imported from any other planet. How is it that these guys could accomplish so much in such a short time? How is it that we are struggling? Actually not struggling. Enough. So the valuation, both materially and otherwise, as a professional, how much you're valued, and as a professional, how much are you valued in the currency, whether it's Indian rupees or dollars, is eventually possible when you're a peak performer. So my dear friends, peak performance works on all your fronts, multiple fronts, personal, professional, social, and relationships. All these fronts. I know, I understand. What are relationships valuable? How valuable are your relationships if you are non-performer in any area of your life? How much of respect do you get? In any relationship, as a mother, as a father, as a son, as a sister, as a brother. If I am not a performer in that role, do I get respect? Trust me, if somebody fakes it, they fake it, that's it. That's a fake thing. No one respects non-performers. So the choice is yours, my friends. And it's such a pleasure today that I could speak of a subject which actually can make or break lives. And if people have lost themselves in the daily grind of too many activities, too diverse activities, and have lost track of why they should perform, why they should contribute, this is an opportunity to review. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. If somebody can moderate, I can take few questions, any number of questions, as long as you structure them. Where is my last slide? So I end my session here because I didn't have any questions. Anybody has questions here, at least I can take it if you have it. Otherwise, I'm available on that mail ID. If you have any observations, questions, doubts, any guidance, please write to me at strategistkrishna@gmail.com. And as I said, everything you do is your choice. You're all adults. So choose well. Rock your world. Be a peak performer.
For this valuable session. Indeed, I'm not sure how many of the folks along with me have got inspired. And I'm sure now I'll be able to gauge myself, like whether I am a peak performer or an average performer. And likewise, there are many folks over here. It was very detailed thought flow that you have given us. Thank you so much. On behalf of Technogen, I thank you for the session, sir.
My pleasure.
And we look forward for many more sessions like this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.